North through the weekend vibes. Fins talk, we go live. Bobby fans and fish tank Hank. Miami Dolphins, we got your back. Saturday noon is the place to be. Catching Dolphins talking fantasy. From the field to the fan debate. Fins talk today, don't be late. Fins up, we ride until the end. With Bobby and Hank, they're your best friends. Podcast popping every week, no delay. Join the crew, Fins talk today. Live chat and stats so prime. Miami hustle all the time. News and views will pave the way. Dive on in, it's Fins talk today. Top plays and what went wrong. Breaking down each game so strong. Fans united, feel the beat. Fins talk, family can't be beat. Fins up, we ride until the end. With Bobby and Hank, they're your best friends. Podcast popping every week, no delay. Join the crew, Fins talk today. Fins up, we ride until the end with Bobby.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to another edition of Fins Talk today here on FTSN. I'm Bobby Fins Talk, joined always by the man, the myth, the legend, Fish Tank Hank, and
At
Fin
least in my
Sammy.
own mind.
That's right. And Fin Sammy of Fins TV joining us. Good morning from me. Good afternoon to you, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Rainy day here in San Juan, so it started as like sunny day, but now it's raining. So you
It
hear
was
something
raining last
in
night
the
here in
background.
Tennessee.
I just can't control the rain, but I'm having a good day.
Hey, Bobby,
Yes, sir.
you know how I always try something with video and audio, and I always screw it up, and I got to leave and come back?
Yeah. Happen
It's
again?
one of those situations.
That's all right, brother. Go do what you got to do. We'll be here when you come back. So we'll wait for Hank as he pops in and pops back in. But Adrian, what's up, my man? Everyone who's joining us, excited to have you all come in here and start your Saturday off right, talking Dolphins here on Fins Talk today. Sammy, my man, as we wait for Fish Tank to pop back in. How you been and exciting news for Fins TV. You guys are coming back, new season. What do you guys got planned on Fins TV this season, brother?
Well, we're back for our July episode this Tuesday at 8 p.m. We're gonna talk a little about is it too our boss for the Dolphins? A lot of fans have lost faith in Tua during this offseason, but I for sure am one of them. I still have a lot of faith in Tua, but it's a decided season for Tua, so we're gonna be talking a lot about what's next for Tua, the expectation for Tua, and is it make it or break for Tua this year for the Dolphins? And also, training camp starts on Tuesday, so we're gonna look back at how the month has been on the Dolphins media, and we'll talk about what happened the first day of Dolphins minicamp this Tuesday.
There you go. So tune in to Fins TV on Tuesday as they talk Tua and Dolphins minicamp and get ready for a fun season with a fun crew. Adrian, good afternoon, brother. Zach, good morning. Cap, good afternoon. Great to see you, my man. Fish Tank, everything
Yes, sir.
set? Everything good to go, my man?
I'll pretend, sure.
Okay. Until it falls out again. All right. We'll do that.
No, I think I'm good, Bobby. I'm just going to need my glasses today because I'm going to tear you up today.
Oh,
Did I say that out loud?
Oh my gosh. I thought I had a pretty fair, safe thing to go. Oh no, Hank's ready to go. It was kind of as we prepare for training camp and shows like Fins TVs that have come back, and we're getting ready for some of the content creators to come back. And shout out to Bobby Schaus of the Dive Bar podcast. He was on yesterday on, I believe, Fox Sports Radio talking Dolphins.
Yes.
So as we get closer to the season, those things are going to start happening a lot more and more. So very exciting. I was like, okay, this is going to be a cool 2 weeks. I have an idea ready for the next 2 weeks of Fins Talk today. We got this. And then, of course, finally, Dolphins signed Jonas Savanea, their offensive guard from round 2. Very excited about that. 4 years guaranteed. Fish Tank, no holdout for our rookie guard, left guard. How you feeling about that, my man?
Loving every minute of it, just like the song says. I'm all over it, bro.
There you go. Sammy, were you concerned at all that he wasn't going to sign before the season? I know I saw some people popping in. I wasn't concerned, but I saw some people popping in the comments saying, "Is he going to hold out? All this what?" Did you have any of that concern at all?
Well, it smelled like the only concern was kind of smelled like collusion. Like they all said together to say we're gonna try to receive, or we all can hold out, but all you need one or two to break the chain, and then we're gonna sign. So I was kind of surprised the Dolphins gave him a guaranteed contract. Kind of surprised. It's not something like the Dolphins would not do because I think they've done that before. But it is what it is. The guy is signed. Probably the more important rookie. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that today in the show, but. Probably, if you ask me, like, I'm gonna tell you that right now. Probably the most important rookie of all is Jonas Savainea. So I'm glad he signed. So I'm very happy about that.
There you go. Yeah, we're gonna have a fun show today. It's an interesting show. It's Who Would You Rather 2025 Miami Dolphins season edition, and we're gonna make it a little more difficult. Because obviously we would all want Tua to throw for 4,500 yards and 35 plus touchdowns, but if you had to choose one or the other, you got to make a decision. So we're going to do something like that. And of course, we'll open up more conversation as we go along. Scotty, what's up, my man? Good afternoon. Awesome. You went on a 10-mile hike. Good for you, brother. That's awesome.
Yo,
Yeah.
fins up, everybody out there. I want to thank you, Cap. I see you. I appreciate you, folks. You too, Aladino, and everybody else, Scotty.
All the time.
Usually I can't see you folks, but I can see a few of you today, even without my 4 eyes.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, man, and we're gonna, we're just excited. I think everybody is excited for Dolphin season that's coming up. Whether you have high or mid or low expectations, you always have that what if, what's going to happen, I mean, so as we get closer, we all get more excited. We're hyped, you want to give into the hype. You want to be like, I'm ready to go. And then, but you don't want to get hurt again. It's like, it's one of those type of relationships. It's like, I'm ready to commit. Are you ready?
I'm giving into the hype, Bobby. I'm shoving all my chips in.
There you go. There you go. There you go. So let's get this ball rolling. And so as we're gonna do this show, it's gonna be a little lighter mood. We're gonna have some fun. But it creates some challenges. So for those in the comments, participate. Obviously, put your answers in there. It's who would you rather, and the first one to go that we're going to start with is something that could very well happen if the other option goes the way it goes, and that one is would you and I'll start with you, Sammy, and then Fish Tank will go ahead and follow up. Sammy, would you rather have Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb stay healthy a whole season, available to Miami, or would you rather have Chop Robinson snag over 15 sacks?
I'm pretty sure that most of the fans base wants to see Chubb Robinson reach 15 sacks. That would be the easy answer, but I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna say I'd rather have them both healthy because with the secondary we have this year, we need the best pass rusher available. And you can have Chubb Robinson going all the time, but he's human. He's gonna get tired. He might break down for a game or two. Hopefully not. But the Dolphins need that constant pass rush. So with Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb healthy, the secondary will look a lot much better. So if you ask me, I would easily choose to have them both healthy and that consistent pass rush that the Dolphins gonna need with that secondary with so many weaknesses. So I'm gonna take the hard answer and say that I want them all healthy and the pass rush to be better overall.
Fish Tank?
Well, I'm going to echo off of Sammy there a little bit. I like Phillips and Chubb staying healthy, and this is why. Because their combined impact, as they're already proven edge rushers, when they're healthy. It outweighs the likelihood of Robinson, second year player, hitting on 15 plus sacks. That's quite a few. He did have 6 in 2024, however, though. And that was the second half. I think a healthy duo transforms the pass rush and defense. This is critical for Miami's playoff push, Bobby. And I really think if we have two of them healthy and in the rotation constantly, it gives us fresher bodies to continue to attack, which I'm pretty sure that's going to be what this defense is all about, is attacking.
I think you guys are right on the money. Obviously, we would all love to see our rookie get over 15 sacks, right? I mean, we all believe he can do it. We have high hopes on him. It's exciting to think about and get to witness if we get to see it. But if any Dolphin fan has a hope that Miami would make a run and for the playoffs, you would want Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb to stay healthy all year with a healthy Chop Robinson. You know, I think we're all on board with that. And I've seen in the comments, Aladino, health is more important. Scotty Phillips stays healthy. You know, I think that is. I think everybody's on the same page with that. The Die Bar podcast in the house. What is up? Great to see you guys in here, Bobby. Great to see you. Shout out to you and to you on the show yesterday. You did awesome, brother. Thank you for popping in here. We appreciate you guys. The next one, you know, Tyreek Hill. It's been on everybody's minds and content shows and everything else all off season long since the end of the season. You know, will he? Won't he? Will he be moved? You know, will he be the Tyreek of old, or will he be a distraction? Should he be a captain? Should he not? All that whatnot. So, you know, there are some people that believe that, hey, Tyreek is going to blow it up this year. He's going to be back to old Tyreek. Tua is going to have a monster season. You know, there's also talk, hey, Miami, that Devon Achane and the running game should have more of a role on offense, should be balanced out. So, Hank, I'm going to start with you on this one, my man. Would you rather, next season for Miami, would you rather have Tyreek to have 2,000 yards receiving or Devon Achane to have over 1,500 yards rushing?
Oh, that's simple. That's got to be Achan with the 1,500 rushing yards. You know, Hill's 2,000 yards is a stretch right now. Even with his 1799 peak in 2003 and his dramatic dip, you know, in 2024. He is 31. Achan with 907 yards on 203 carries last year, and a growing role as a dual threat back, I believe. You know, is better positioned to hit 1,500 yards in Miami's run focus, youth driven offense. I think that's the direction we're going to be going, you know, especially our new guard and where we're setting up and getting ready to take this offensive line to. I think he's going to have a lot more possibilities than Tyreek hitting $2,000.
There you go. Sammy?
I'm gonna take the unpopular answer, and I'm gonna take the answer that even surprises me. I'm gonna take Terry take it going to 2,000 yards, and here's why: we have a loaded backfield with Ollie Gordon, Jalen Wright, and Devon A. Chain. I'd rather have A. Chain between 1,200 and 12,300, and Ollie Gordon, all those guys having very very good seasons, and Tyreek, if he reaches 2,000, the two are having a great season, and we're cooking. So I would rather have in this scenario to believe that Tyreek can find a way for Tua to give him 2,000 yards, and H has 1,200, and Ollie Gordon has 600, and Jalen Wright has 800, and everybody's happy. And we had our offense that is cooking, it's running the ball well, and we pass it the ball well. So I'm gonna surprise myself. I'm gonna pick
That
the
is a
option
surprise, no doubt.
Coming from me, it's a surprise even more. So I'm gonna take the unpopular answer. I'm gonna say Tyreek reaching 2,000, because if reaching 2,000, the offense is cooking. And I would love for Asian, to have a great season, but not to be overrun, and to have a long lengthy career for the Dolphins. So 1,200 to 1,300 for Asian for me will be very very good, as long as the other running backs are doing the job. So I'm gonna take the unpopular answer and say Tyreek with 2,000 yards.
I love that, my man. I play the risk game. It makes
Yeah,
and it's,
it will be boring.
I know, if we all agree, right? I mean, because the comments rushing. Scotty does say,
Yeah.
Scotty says, hey, Tyreek's playing on a contract year. Randy Moss recently said that Tyreek is not, in the elite category.
That's a whole other topic.
That's a whole other
That's a
thing.
hot take. We
Yeah,
should
it
talk
is a
about that
hot take,
someday. Yes.
and so, Tyreek could play with a chip on his shoulder this year. However, I will agree with the consensus, which is I would rather have a 1,500-yard season from Devon Achane than a 2,000-yard receiving season with Tyreek, because it will show, as somebody had put in the comments, and forgive me if I could find it, uh, Bobby, Dybar, rushing for sure, because it would show the philosophy has changed. For me, it would show a balanced attack. If you would have, because Tyreek not reaching 2,000 yards, if Tyreek has 12, 1,500 yards, whatever, and Achan is having 1,500 yards rushing, that would show Miami is a balanced attack, and obviously that Miami is doing great rushing the ball. Of course, that's a high ask, but I, of course, would rather see Devon Achan running for 1,500 yards.
Yeah, that's why my scenario is saying I want him 1,200, 1,300, but I want Jalen Ray with 800 or 600, and Ollie Gordon with 600 or 100. So they're
Yeah.
running the ball well. But,
That would be just as great if Agent had over 11 to 1,200 yards. Jalen Wright, you got that 6 to 800 yards, and then you got Ollie Gordon 4 to 6, something like that. That would be an awesome thing to see, because you could that's a running back room that's going to be killer next year for
if
Miami.
Tyrese gets 2,000 yards, that means the deep ball is working. If the deep ball is working, the offense is working. So that's one of the reasons why.
Fair point.
But
Fair
I
point.
get what.
And shout out, first off, I want to say Adrian of the Rainy Day Pod, congratulations on his new show that's premiering today. Too Raw for SmackDown for wrestling, pro wrestling lovers. Go check out Rainy Day Pod with Adrian. I'm excited for him. One of the harder
Liberty
workers
told me
out
that
content
Liberty
creator
told me
world.
that intro is cooking. That's what Liberty told me. I don't know.
Finn's TV Productions in the house. Yeah, and of course, and then again, talking about wrestling, No Holds Barred later today at 5 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk, how can an all-women brand in WWE look like? We're going to talk about after the success of Evolution. There's talk, should there be an all-woman brand? But how could it look like, and could it succeed? We're going to talk about that. I'm excited about that conversation. But going back to the Dolphins, Sammy, starting with you and then Fish Tank, going to follow up.
Yes, sir.
Our rookies, Kenneth Grant, Jason Marshall, Ollie Gordon, Savanea. Who would you rather have the strongest season? Or is there another rookie we're not talking about that you'd rather have? You have to pick one. Who would have the strongest? Who would you rather have the best season?
Well, this time I'm going with the obvious one. I'm going with Jonas Sabainea because Dolphins again need that offensive line to work. That probably was the most important rookie. Grant, of course, will be the second, but Jonah for me is the most important rookie, the key rookie this season. If he is comparable as a rookie to what Robert Hunt was as a rookie, that guy that can move the line, run block well, run block very well, and pass block very well. The Dolphins might have an offensive line that could be even better than last year. The Dolphins need that for sure. Tua need that protection. Tua needs that for sure. So for me, there's no other more important rookie this year than Jonas Sabainea. So hopefully he has a great season, and the Dolphins can find a way to solidify the offensive line. Because of course that's the Dolphins Achilles heel. The Dolphins one play away from Liam Eichenberg in the starting lineup. So we need them healthy. We need them, playing well. So Jonas Sabainea will be my pick.
Fish Tank.
Bobby. There's kind of two answers here, but I'm gonna go with this. They're very close for me between Grant and Jonah, but I'm gonna say Jonah, and the reason why is our defense needs rest. Okay, we need to be able to push that offensive line and give those running backs a chance. You know what I mean? And provide a little more protection for Tua, of course. Um, but you got the second round guard acquired via we traded up to get him, which thank God we did. I'm so happy we did. So um I don't know. I think he's going to have a starting role first of all. which will bolster the offensive line, assisting Tua, like I said, and Achan. You got Grant and Marshall. Uh, you got depth chart battles, and I don't know. Quinn Ewers, there's so many. I think Jonah will have an immediate impact. Now, Grant will we'll need him a lot. And I'll tell you, it's because we need to stop offenses before they get on the other side of that line. And it's going to be critical to have him in there beside Sealer. So it's kind of a double thing for me, Bobby, because you know how depleted our secondary really is. So that's a tough one, really. It really is. But I think having the offense on longer and all that is going to help us to score more points. And in the end, that's what we're going to need.
So I think you guys are right on. Jonah 7A, obviously, if he has a strong season, again, I loved him in the draft process. He was the highest rated offensive line guy on my board doing the draft process. So I would love to see him have a great season, and I expect him to have a great season. I think Kenneth Grant obviously would be great for the defense as a whole, especially that secondary.
Yeah.
But and secondary being the key word, and that's why I'm going to go the opposite route. I'm going to go
I knew
Jason
it.
Marshall.
I
You
knew
know,
it.
Ooh.
I'm going Jason Marshall. I would love for Jason Marshall to have the strongest season out of the rookies this year because that would mean Miami hit one, especially in a secondary that needs it. We look at
Yep.
that secondary, we look at that cornerback room, and we're going, what do we have? What is Cam Smith going to do? Are we going to sign any of these guys in free agency, Asante Samuel Jr. or Russell Douglas or whatever these guys? If we don't, we're going to have to rely on Cater Kohu and Jason Marshall and Cam Smith. And the safety position looks better, but the cornerback room does not. So,
Do you
yes,
think, Bobby,
yeah.
do you think Marshall will be a starter?
Well, that would have to see if they don't sign anybody. That's gonna have to see in camp. But that's why I would hope if that is the case that he has the strongest season because then we're not looking so bad in that secondary because
Oh, yeah.
there's some high hopes this season for a lot of Dolphin fans, but that secondary is going to burn us, especially when you're playing those, Buffalo Bills, those other Baltimore Ravens, Washington Commanders, and all. When our secondary is getting burned, we're going to be looking at these guys. So I'm hoping that it's Jason Marshall. Don't get me wrong, I love Ollie Gordon and Savanea, and
Oh, yeah.
I want those guys, but if I have to pick out of these guys, it's going to be Jason Marshall. Um,
That's a great point that you made there, Bobby, because like you said, if he comes alive and we actually have some kind of stability in our secondary, especially the corners, as you know, um, I think that'll help us to shut down early, especially when we have Sealer and Grant up there pushing the line with Chubb,
yeah.
Phillips, Chop, everybody coming around. It's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be a nightmare, whoever's up front against them. And like you said, if he comes in and he comes alive, forget about it. We will have a shut down defense if he's half as good as you hope he is.
Well, think about this. If he doesn't, right? Let's just say because there were other corners on the board at that point in time that I thought that Miami could have gone. You had
Yeah.
Strong, you had Frazier up on there. They go
Mm-hmm.
Marshall. That was one of those picks where you're kind of like,
Mm.
but so if he doesn't, if Miami's cornerback room, and that's Kohu, Marshall, Cam Smith, if that's the way it goes into this season, and let's say they don't, and Storm Duck, and let's say they are the most mediocre, bottomed out deep secondary in the league, and they're horrible, you're going to have to look for 2 to 3 corners next year. To the corners, to replace. And so, but if Jason Marshall has, and that goes for Cam Smith as well. But if Jason Marshall has a good to great year, and you're going, damn, he had a solid year, man. Man, that was a steal. Next year, you're only looking for one corner if Cam Smith doesn't work out. You're looking for a corner to be next to Jason Marshall. So that there's multiple factors that play into that scenario. So yeah, I'm going to roll with Jason Marshall, even though I would love to see them all do great. I'm going to say Jason Marshall because he's probably least likely. But moving on. The next one, this, one guy is a guy that we've seen what he can do. He's been he's been awesome before. I think he could be awesome again if he's given uh, the more prominent role. But again, there are some head scratching moments where you're like, the ball's right in his hands, he drops it, just And then the other guy is the guy talking about the secondary who was drafted in the I'm going to lose it here, second or third round. Who we were hoping, hey, can he be that next good corner for Miami, play next to Jalen Ramsey, whatever. For 3 years, for 2 seasons, he has not. One season we were blaming Vic Fangio. The next season he just wasn't around. So, would you rather have Jalen Waddle receive 10 plus touchdowns next year, or would you rather have Cam Smith snag 6 interceptions? Fish tank.
I would say Waddle. No, I don't know. I mean, Cam Smith with 6+ interceptions. I like that. I like that a lot. When I think about Waddle, I'm like 10+ touchdowns. He gets about 92 targets or so in 2024. Okay. And then Miami has a high octane offense. You know, 10 touchdowns is definitely feasible, you know. Despite, the fact that he went down to 2 to 4 touchdowns for the seasons. Smith stepped into a big role after, Ramsey now left. So wow, but he does have some good ball hawking skills. And for 6+ picks, that's going to be tough in a new secondary, which would tell me Waddle can do it. We need Cam Smith to, like you had mentioned, the other corner, Marshall. We need him to step up. Bottom line, if he steps up, we're way better off than if Jalen Waddle gets 10 touchdowns.
There you go. Sammy?
I'm gonna be honest, Bobby. If Cam Smith gets 6 interceptions, I'm gonna look out of my window. I'm gonna check if the world is ending because it should, it's like that song says, the world is ending. You know, I, I don't see it as a scenario that will happen. So I'll have to check the mother chip is coming down for to get me because there's no way that will happen. So I'm gonna have to go with we want to get into 10 touchdowns just because I cannot conceive in my mind can't be getting 6 interceptions. So just for the sake of arguing and saying that what in my heart I think it could happen, I'm gonna go with Jalen Waddle and 10 touchdowns. That will mean that the offense is cooking and the deep ball is working probably, and the Dolphins are having a successful season. What I'm gonna say 10 touchdowns for Jalen Waddle for me.
Hey,
So,
I got you, Jonathan. I see you. I see you tearing me up again.
yeah, here he comes.
Hey,
Here he
look,
comes.
Jonathan.
Yes.
Uh, I'm just talking about, you know, the offense where we need it, but I don't, 10 touchdowns, I'm saying that could be his max. Is all I'm saying. I'm not saying he'll get 10, but even if he got 10, I don't think it'd have half as much as an impact as Cam Smith getting 6 interceptions. Please, that would be so huge.
And I'm going to say, when I look at Miami's offense, or at least what they have, when I think a lot of people still, obviously Malik Washington, what he could bring to Miami's offense, Nick Westbrook that we signed from Tennessee, what he can do in the red zone, Achin, Wright, Gordon, Tyreek, Waddle, you know, 10 obviously 10 touchdowns for Waddle would be awesome to see, but because of I'm more concerned with our defense than I am with our offense, I'd rather see Cam Smith get that 6 INTs. I think that would be something I would love to see. But yes, I get you, Sammy, because I'm with you. It's like looking for a unicorn. You hear they're at the, you hear that they're out there. You've seen the pellets. You see, Bigfoot. You've seen the footprints, but you haven't seen it yet. So it's hard to believe. But that's why I would love to see Bigfoot. It's like I would like to see Bigfoot. I'd like to see Cam Smith get over 6 interceptions, and for that, same thing with Jason Marshall. At the end of this season, we know what we have in Jalen Waddle. We know
Yeah.
that. We know what he is when he's healthy, and when he's the primary guy. We don't know what we have in Cam Smith. So I would love at the end of this season, win, lose, or draw, we're going, hey, we're good in the secondary, man. Cam Smith, 6 INTs. I cannot wait to see year 4. I want to see that. That's what I'd rather be talking about at the end of the year. Cam Smith lighting it up, and like I didn't get to see whose name was there because I'm doing 20 things, but that he's not a bust. I think that would be a good one. Okay. So Janu Smith is gone. Not a very popular move amongst the Dolphins fandom. I mean, he was an awesome guy on the field, off the field, most consistent producer on offense next to Devon Achin, or most consistent guy on offense that you could rely upon, no matter who is quarterback. He's out. He had 88 receptions, 800 yards catching, 8 touchdowns. He was just a killer. Did great for us, but he's gone now. He's in Pittsburgh. We got Darren Waller. Woohoo! From the Giants. He came out of retirement home. He's with us. He was in a rap career. He came here. Would you rather have Darren Waller have over 800 yards receiving this season, or would you rather have Jalen Wright rush for over 800 yards? Sammy.
Well, I now have to tie it up with what I said before. Since I wanted Tyreek to have 2,000 because I wanted the run game to be working other than A Chain, I have to go with right having 800 yards. For me, a balanced attack is key. I know we all agree on that. We need to throw the ball well. We need to run the ball well. But I'm not adamant or big on A Chain being used as they used it last year in short yardage situations when they know they could not run the ball. They try to run A Chain every single time. I would rather them to spread it out to use A Chain coming from the backfield, catching passes, having the hands of the ball a lot more times. Yes, but not necessarily running so many times. So again, I'll be more than happy with Asian having 1,300 yards and with Jalen Wright having 800. So I'm gonna be consistent, and I'm gonna say I would rather prefer to have Jalen Wright have 800 yards.
Hangster.
Well, I'm looking in the comments, and everybody's talking about, a couple people talking about Wright also. But I'm going to have to disagree. And I'll tell you why. Wright with 800 rushing yards, Waller's 33, unretired. We know we're not expecting a lot, and we're not talking about what we think will happen. We're talking about what we want to happen. And what I want to happen is for Waller to come out and not struggle to get targets behind Hill and Waddle. And hopefully they won't overuse Ollie Gordon and still look for that big body, 10 yards out or so, 15, and he'll be standing there. And I think if he makes more of an impact through getting those 800 yards, he could be picking up those tough yards, and like I said, in the red zone, oh, he's good to have. Now, he is old, so can he do it? That's a big can he. But the more realistic thing is Wright will already make 800 probably. So that's why I have to go the other way, because I want the weaker party to be stronger.
So I am with you guys. I'd rather see Jalen Wright have over 800 yards rushing than Darren Waller have 800 yards receiving. Obviously, I want to see Darren Waller succeed. I want him to have a good year, especially if he's our leading tight end or starting tight end. But I wouldn't hate 400, 500, 600, whatever yards. But I would rather see Jalen Wright have over 800 yards rushing the ball. Absolutely.
I was opposite of you, Bobby.
Oh, my mistake, sir. Sorry.
Yeah. I'd rather have Waller make 800 yards because if he's making 800 yards, whoo, it's our offense clicking, boy.
Well, and I'll tell you what, and again, wouldn't hate it either way because my thing is Janu had over 800 yards,
Yeah.
and Miami's offense wasn't. You know what I'm saying? So if I would, that's what I'm saying was if our running game, if HN is in that 1,500 yards or 1,200 yards, and White's running for 800 yards, and we think our offense, our receivers, right, Tyreek, a healthy Tyreek, Jalen, Nick Westbrook, Malik Washington, Waller are having solid
Hmm.
years. I'd love to see our running game really do good, but I got you. Scotty says hot take. He doesn't think Madison or Darren Waller make the 53. Very interesting. Who would be the starting tight end,
Wow.
Scotty? Uh, you know,
Yeah.
and
To
we'll
the point of if the question was, would you rather have Jalen Wright with 800 and Waller with 8 touchdowns? I'd rather have the 8 touchdowns than the 800 yards because that means they're scoring. But you can have 800 yards and then start moving the ball, trash time, all those things. So that's one of the reasons why I'd rather have a consistent running game. Because if you tell me Waller with 8 touchdowns, that means that he's in the end zone, he's cooking, he's working. But that's why for me it's an easy answer to say that I'd rather have the 800 yards rushing. So.
there you go. There you go. I love it. All right. So did I skip that? No, I didn't. Okay, it's the next one.
No,
I was
you're
about to
good.
say.
You're good.
Okay. I see Daniel and Steve are going back on tour right now, so we're going to get into tour right now. And obviously, we'd love to see both of these come into play because that would be amazing, right? Obviously, winning season matters more. Getting to the playoffs, winning a playoff game. Winning a playoff game means more, not just getting into playoffs. I want to see
Hmm.
us win a playoff game. But
But
Hank, Hank,
yes, sir.
Hank, would you rather Tua to throw over 4,500 yards
Yeah.
or 35 touchdowns this year?
4,500 yards is a pretty high bar. In 2024, he got around what was that, 3,800 yards or whatever. Um, where does that leave him now? Well, if he's already getting that, I'd rather see the 35 touchdowns. 500 yards, him throwing the ball doesn't matter because if he's getting less yardage, that means our ground game is also working. We know that. And if that's working, everything's going to solidify if he's able to get 35 touchdowns. Because if we're scoring on the ground and in the air, because we'd be tearing it up for him to get 35 touchdowns. Once again, I think our running game right now is a little stronger than our passing game based on who we now have up front and because of our running backs. So for me, I'd rather see 35 touchdowns because everybody's going to be eating on this team.
Love it. Sammy?
35 touchdowns for me. For me, it's kind of easy because that means you're scoring the end zone. Well, either we're doing deep passes and scoring, or we're scoring the end zone. For me, it's easy. Yards, you can get yards, but again, the emphasis of the offense has changed, and they're going to run the ball more. Two else need to throw for 4,500 yards. So 35 touches for me, that should be the key.
I'm with you guys. 35 touchdowns. Absolutely. Because that means we're scoring,
Yep.
and so, yeah, 4,500 yards would look really nice on
Yeah,
paper.
it
It would be
would.
really, we know people would be bringing, oh, he had 4,500 yards, but if we're not scoring touchdown, it ain't going to matter. Give me the
Yep.
35 plus touchdowns. Raphael says 25 touchdowns max. So that's all right. But I see most everybody saying touchdowns in the comments as well, which is cool to see. Staying on the quarterback, you know, there was a lot of talk about the backup situation last year. There's a lot of talk about the backup situation going into this year. Whether you believe that the quarterback room is better this year than it was last year is a whole other story. I think it is. But, every time Tua takes a hit, we all cringe. Oh, my God. So, and it's going to happen again. Next year, we're going to be like that no matter who's back there. But in the case of Tua going down to injury, worst case scenario, Who would you rather, Sammy, come in at quarterback? Zach Wilson or Quinn Ewers?
Well, you say when Tua gets hit, you just need to run. You just start running, and I'm like,
Yeah, I know.
no,
Me too.
you doesn't need to get hit. Just start running, and I'm panicking. But well, on draft day, I really wanted the Dolphins to get Queen Amber. So that was as he was sliding and sliding and sliding. That was the guy I really wanted. Uh, Zach Wilson is on the contract for just 1 year. I can understand why if you're making a commitment to a backup quarterback like him and you're kind of trying to develop him, they will only go with a 1 year deal. Other than the cash strap, the money strap, and they say this is your budget, you can only do 1 year because if you really believe the guy is to be the backup of Tua, and there were other choices on the board that I would have preferred to him. Zach Wilson has a very good arm. He runs really fast. The physical tools are there, but the mentality and the endurance as a quarterback remains to be seen. So if if Ayers beats Zach Wilson, I will be really really happy. But that will have to be my choice. But that means that we did something right. We got the right guy on a late round pick. That would be a steal. And with Zach Wilson being on the 1 year deal, if there's something is all things are equal, I will have Queen Ayers. So that will be my pick.
So, I go ahead, Fish Tank.
After you, sir.
Okay. So I'm with you. I would rather see Quinn Ewers go in because, especially if it's a longer timeout for Tua. If Tua's out for a longer amount of time,
Yeah.
and because that and more than likely, if Tua goes down for a long amount of time or a good amount
If
of
it's a
time this
concussion,
season, the
basically
season's
that's it.
about done, right? We could, I mean, we all have hopes. We'll hope that but realistically, you're like, okay. So then I would rather see what we have in Quinn Ewers. I'm with you. I'm a fan of Quinn Ewers coming out of the draft. I think it's amazing value. We got him in the 7th round. I'm not saying he's the next big thing. I'm not overhyping him. I'm not none of that. But this guy coming out of high school was the number one quarterback going. He was a first round pick prospect a couple years back out of Texas. Obviously lost a job to Arch Manning. Why wouldn't he? Arch Manning has all the hype. Everyone's overhyping Arch Manning. I don't want to say overhyping. That's not fair, but hyping him up now. So he comes out, loses money, goes into the 7th round, is in Miami's ballpark. Miami picks him up. I would love to see Quinn Ewers come in a situation where we know Tua's done for a while. Let him come in, ride or die, and see what we have in him. Because then if he ends up being successful, we're good. We don't have to go crazy in free agency or the draft. But if it's a short amount of time, right? If it's like a game or two, put Zach Wilson in there. This guy is a former first round pick. We know what he did with the Jets, but we also know what Sam Darnold did with the Jets. And we know what Sam Darnold did after the Jets with the Vikings. And again, I'm not saying Zach Wilson is Sam Darnold. I'm not saying Miami is the Vikings. But crazier things have happened. I know people go, oh, but look what he was a third string in Denver, and Denver didn't resign him. Actually, Denver wanted to resign him. Denver actually liked him a lot. He just obviously, what are you going to put him over Bo? And no, you're not going to put him over Bo Nix. So if it's a 1 to 2 game situation, sure, Zach Wilson. Let him go. See what he can do with this offense, with the talent of his offense, and let's see if we can win with him. If it's a long amount of time, don't even waste time with Zach Wilson. Put in Quinn Ewers, see what you got. So I'm gonna go with Quinn Ewers on this. Fish Tank.
You know, um, I agree with both of you kind of to an extent, and but you know, it all depends. For me, it depends on what our record is. That's what it depends on. Now, if we have a winning record, I'm going to put in Zach Wilson until we don't. And once we don't, then I would put in Quinn Ewers. However, if we have a losing, if we're having a losing season, we got to put yours in there. Like you were saying, Bobby, it's important to see what we've got right away as soon as we can. See if he can make good decisions. See if he's slow on getting the ball out. Just see if he can handle this fast-paced offense. There's a lot that he has to be able to do, and he's going to need as much time as possible playing in the NFL. So you're completely right. But if we're like we got a great record, 6-0 or something. No, I wouldn't put him in. I wouldn't put him in, or 4-0. I wouldn't put him in.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair, and
Yes.
I think it's a yeah. I think that's a great point, and it's the same thing like with the whole if it's a 2 game situation and you put Zach Wilson, if it's a longer term situation, you put in Quinn Ewers. But again, at Hank's right on the money. If Miami is has a winning season at that point, you're gonna go with the veteran and see what he got.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, this is important. We all know who's gonna call plays this year. It's
Who?
Mike McDaniel. But would you rather have him continue to call plays, or would you rather have him pass it off, Fish Tank?
Oh, you already know me, man. You know how everybody feels on this, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate just to do it, okay?
All right.
Because the other is so obvious, it's not even funny. So, um, let's say it's Mike McDaniel calling the plays. You know, he he creates a good scheme, and he does a great job. Yards in a game weren't that great, but around 18th or 20th or something like that. So now, will he be able to maximize Tua and the skill players at this point in time is the biggest question. You know, handing off to Frank Smith or another coordinator kind of risks disruption. And the offense's flow and McDaniel's coaching grade supports keeping him in charge as much as I would love to say the other thing.
There you go. There you go. I get it. I get it. Sammy, what do you think?
Well, as you know about it, I've been smashing Mike McDaniel since smashing Mike McDaniel was not cool because now everybody thinks like But I used to I used to criticize Mike McDaniel when I was told by one of my guys on Fins TV to say I was crazy for criticizing Mike McDaniel. At the end of the day, I think I was right about that. Mike McDaniel, I always said it. One of the first who said it. Mike McDaniel might be a great play designer, but not necessarily a great play caller. He goes away from the running game too much sometimes. In game situations, sometimes he doesn't know what to do. The timeouts, the challenges. So he has the handcuffs. I think the Dolphins acknowledge that there's something to be done when they signed Bobby Stowick away from the Texans as a senior passing game coordinator. He's always been a run game coordinator, but he never called the plays with the 49ers. So
No.
he's still learning. So it's kind of a difficult question still because he has a couple of years now under experience. So you will say, oh, he's more experienced now. Maybe he can do it. There are some capable guys in the office that probably can call plays. Always been one of them. But I'm gonna say that it is what it is. By now, let Mike McDaniel call the plays. Let's cut him loose. If it doesn't work, it's the end of the road for Mike McDaniel. So let's give Mike McDaniel enough road for him to hang himself, if you know what I mean, and let him call the plays and see what happens. So I'm gonna stay with Mike McDaniel for this year. What might be his final year as Dolphins head coach to call the plays and see what happens.
So I just want to say, because I know if he's watching, usually he'll do it, even though he's not in the comments. Finstanza, he's saying, as soon as you said, "Oh, I'm probably one of the early ones who said I was bashing on Mike McDaniel and all this," Finstanza was right there with you. He was one of those guys where everybody else was still
Yep.
loving on him. He was saying he's not the guy and giving him. So shout
He's
out to
been right
Finstanza.
from day one,
Yeah.
as far as
Mike McDaniel is a great guy.
how
He's
it's
a
gone
funny
so
guy.
far.
I love the guy. But he's gonna do great at ESPN. But as a head coach, I have my reservations.
There you go. What's up, CB83? There you go, man. Shout out to Finn's Take with CB83 in the house. Great to see you in here, my man. Raphael, great to see you as well. Everyone who's tuning in, you guys are watching Finn's Talk today on FTSN with Finn Sammy of Finn's TV and Fish Tank Hank. Me, Bobby Finstock. Happy to see you guys all in here and enjoying the show and participating. Right now, if he was like at the end of the Dolphin season last year, I would rather have him pass off the play calling. 2 years was enough. He's a great play designer, right? He's done great doing that. He's very good. Calling plays, not so much. Pass it off. But because we are on the cusp of a new season, at this point in time, as Sammy has brought up, Fish Tank has said at the beginning, let him keep it. Let him call plays. We've seen what he's done. We've seen what has he's been successful with calling plays. We've seen has he failed with calling plays. And right now, he's on his last hurrah here. If let him go out fighting as the play caller. If he fails, we know he's done. There's no point in passing it off now. If for whatever reason Miami struggles midpoint of the season and he wants to do like one last try, then you could pass it off if he's just totally crap in the bed. But right now, I'd rather just see him keep the plays and let's see what happens this year.
Bobby,
Yeah.
before you continue on, let me add a little note to that as far as
Yeah.
you know, people don't realize, Mike McDaniel, you got to look at his past, and one of the big things in his past that helped him immensely was having Christian McCaffrey. We all know that, you know. And Mike McDaniel's biggest Achilles heel has been he hasn't had anybody to get his third downs other than Tyreek Hill. If you watch the film, you'll see it's always Tyreek Hill that when we need a third down, that's typically who's getting it. It's not usually our running backs, not usually Waddle or anybody else. It's usually Tyreek Hill, which is amazing. Um, I don't know. For me, if Mike McDaniel now has a true third down impact player between the three players he has, you know, I think that he's going to be able to call plays that he hasn't been able to play before, especially on third down with a bruising back with Gordon's type of talent.
There you go. I like it. I'm looking at the comments there, and I see the guys are talking about next year's draft class at quarterback because if the situation goes down with Miami where Tua doesn't make it or whatever we have, you guys are absolutely right. Next year's draft class is very exciting. I will say, the guys on the clock, the draft show for FTSN, we're already at work. I'll tell you, there's a lot of good names out there. One guy I like early on, I mean, there's a lot of them, but the guy that catches my eyes is Sellers, Lenore Sellers, South Carolina. That dude, I like what I see, but there's a lot of good ones there. So keep an eye out on that. We'll probably have a show early on just to talk about it, and some of those, whether it's Coach, myself, or Wingate. We're probably going to be popping in the Fins TV to talk the draft as well as we get later on in the season. So excited about that. So yeah, man.
Fins TV Plus.
Fins
on
TV Plus. Yes. Well, yes, that's right. I'm going to put that out there today, but I guess we'll say it right now before we go, before we continue here. That's right. Sammy is joining the FTSN family. He runs Fins TV. And as he's doing that with Fins TV, he's coming over here, and Thursday nights at the start of the season, the Thursday before the start of the season, Fins TV Plus will be on FTSN. Sammy, you want to talk about what you got planned for Fins TV Plus?
Well, we're gonna do a different take on Fins TV. During the season, we have a segment previewing the next week game, but we're gonna go further. I'm gonna be co-hosting with Eddie Chapman, my friend Eddie Chapman from Fins TV, the controversial Eddie Chapman, and we're gonna look into the behind the enemy lines. We're gonna ask a fan, a super fan, hopefully of the Colts, of the Bengals, of the Steelers, of the Jets, to join the show to join the conversation. We're gonna talk about the next week's game, and we're gonna talk about the perspective on the Dolphins, and we're gonna talk about the upcoming game. So it should be a lot of fun on FTSN FTV Plus starting the Thursday before the opening week at 7 p.m.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about that. And Sammy is one of the hardest working people in the room when it comes to content creation. I mean, it's one of those things where I remember watching Fins TV for the first time from just FTSN. When I started FTSN, I was like, and Hank knows this because he's been with me since the start, with Fins Talk Today, and he's been able to see the growth of the channel and everything else.
Right.
But one thing I always talked about was presentation. It's not just about getting on; it's about presentation. And when I'm, kept this like Big Sports Network, so and I didn't see a lot of people doing that. But when I watch Sammy and I'm watching how he does stuff, and I've got the first time to watch his stuff, I was like, the hell is this? This is epic. I love the presentation. I love the camaraderie, the community that he has. So Sammy and I got connected. It's a blessing, and it's been awesome. And to be able to do this for this upcoming season, I'm excited. And he will be part of our pregame show as well with Fitzstanza. So he'll get the crap on McDaniel all season long with Fitzstanza. So we're excited about that. Moving on, as I hit my microphone. If the season flops, Fish Tank, if it flops, you can only have one.
Yep.
Who would you rather have return, McDaniel or Greer?
Well, wow. Well, I look at Greer, and he's made some pretty costly mistakes for the Miami Dolphins with his free agency trades, and um, he hasn't really hit. We've missed so many times in the first two rounds. It's not even funny, and you know you can't keep him. I'd rather have the same coach, and if his coaching or play calling doesn't improve, force him to have a play caller. And I would keep McDaniel under those circumstances only.
There you go. There you go. Man, and you look, you right away, you got a couple different answers. You would think that maybe people, one person will go this way or the other. No, and it's Ralph says Mike McDaniel. Scotty says Greer has to go. Finstake says if the season flops, that's McDaniel's fault. Let's be real. The team has enough. Aladino says McDaniel. Sammy, where are you rolling on this one?
Well, I'm gonna blow my cover here, but I'm in the agenda that I know what I want as a successor for my Daniel next year in case he gets fired. So and that's my Tomlin. I would love for my Tomlin to get to generalize it to get my Daniel fired. I think to get Mike Tomlin fired with the Steelers. So get him out of there. I would love for Mike Tomlin to be the head coach of the Dolphins next year. So if that happens, I think Chris Greer could find a way to work with Mike McDaniel rather to, keep Mike McDaniel and find another general manager. So if that's the case, I'm going to stick with my agenda and say I think Chris Greer could work, for a year or so and then move to somewhere else in the Dolphins organization. Mike Tomlin can get his successor or whatever. But I'd rather have Chris Greer to stay with another head coach. Hopefully, my pick, which is Mike Tomlin.
Hey, I just want to say to
Yeah.
Scotty real quick. You're right, Scotty. Entire nation, we have the worst secondary ever. Our O line was last. You are so right. Greer, I agree with you on Greer 100%, man. He's got to go. He's had 10 years. He hasn't done it. He hasn't done it.
So I understand both points, and I think more than likely that would be the scenario is that if Greer was even, first of all, base case scenario, and this is exactly how I feel, and I've said this before, if you're going to fire one, you fire both and get it over with, start fresh.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's only one or the other, and if it has to be one or the other, then I'm going to roll with Greer. Let the new GM decide McDaniel's fate. If you're going to fire one, you're going to fire Greer if the Dolphins flop, because the secondary is a mess. The O-line has been a mess. On paper, the front part of it, when you look at all the stars and everybody else, the starters, you go, damn, Dolphins have a pretty good roster. Looks really good, man. Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips. It was Jalen Ramsey. Now we got Minka Fitzpatrick, Tua, Tyreek, Waddle. Oh my goodness, this looks very nice, man. Oh, okay, let's look at the back of that. What does the depth look like? Holy crap, that's disgusting. What is that? That's like going to a supermarket. You see it, and it looks full, man. Oh my goodness. Also, you take that one can on and you go, there's nothing else back there. That's what's wrong with Miami's roster. That's been what's wrong with Miami's roster and with Chris Greer's reign as GM of the Miami
Well, we're
Dolphins.
pulling freaking people out of retirement to play tight end.
Off the street.
Come on.
They're working at Publix. Let's come on. We need a quarterback. Let's get you guys. That's what we're doing. I mean, what are we talking about?
It's horrible.
Yeah, if it was to go down, if Miami had to fire one or the other, fire Greer, and then let the new GM discuss with McDaniel. Hey, what's your mindset? What if we did this? What if we did that? If they could work together, great. Let it ride out. If not, he fires McDaniel and he goes get his head coach. I could see the scenario what Sammy's talking about. If Greer stays, McDaniel's gone. Greer stays for another year. He brings the coach. The coach takes over, and after a year, then Greer moves to another position, and you bring in the other GM later on. But if I had to go with the other, I'm going with Chris Greer. But if McDaniel is let go, Fish Tank,
Yes.
let's say during the season, who would you rather have as the interim head coach? Obviously, popular choice would be Anthony Weaver. Could it be Frank Smith or Darrell Bevel? Or is there a guy I'm not talking about on the Dolphins staff that you would have as an interim head coach? There's Finn Stanza. There he is. He's made his appearance.
My boy.
There he is. All right, go ahead, Fish Tank.
Hey, I'll change your diaper later, boy.
We were just talking about you, bro. All good things. All good things.
Yeah.
We were just talking about
Yeah.
you. We miss you, my man.
Especially when we use that diaper genie. Whew. All right, look.
I'm sorry.
Hey, that's my son, man. We had a lot of years of diaper changing together.
Oh, no, stop it there. Please stop it.
Hey, for those of you that don't know, Finstanza is not a little guy, okay? He's a very big kind of guy. And for me to say I changed his diapers,
You don't even have to.
It's kind of funny,
Well, let me just say, Fish Tank, very quick. Evan, that's what you need to go back and watch. Sammy was saying that he's been one of the early ones early on, other than his Fins TV co-host crew over there, to be bashing Mike McDaniel since the beginning, criticizing him and everything else. He says he's one of the rare ones. Everybody would get on him. And I said, well, you're in for a treat because I'm going to say, because if Evan's watching, I know what he's saying right now, and you weren't. So I was saying was that you have a friend in Evan because he was right there with you since the beginning, criticizing Coach McDaniel. So it's going to be a fun pregame show all season with these two and me. I can't wait. But
that's another announcement. That's
that's the other one. But anywho, go ahead, Fish Tank. We haven't got to your answer yet.
We're getting close, though, weren't we?
We are. We're getting there.
You guys started the diaper changes. I don't know why.
Hey, Evan, much respect, bro. I love you, man.
Oh, man.
All right, so.
Amen.
Everybody's obvious choice, like you said, would be Anthony Weaver, I think. But I would hold off on Anthony Weaver, and I'll tell you why. I would let Frank Smith step up because he has the OC's, experience with McDaniel's system. And Anthony Weaver, I might want to talk to him about being my head coach rather than sticking him in the interim. In the meantime, it gives me the opportunity, if we have a new OC that can run the whole system and everything else without McDaniel. Whereas Weaver, we know he could probably run the team already. He does need, a little more offensive experience, but I would have to go with, like I said, his experience. That just makes him better for the interim fit for the year. Better than Weaver's defensive focus and, and a quarterback coach. I don't know who else you got.
I think that's a good answer. I'm with you, and I'll kind of go a little further with that. But before that, Sammy, where's your mind at on that? Interim head coach, not Mike Tomlin.
Well, I gotta stick to the agenda, but however, I don't think you do any favors to Anthony Weaver by making an interim head coach of the Dolphins. So I would go with Joe Embry. Joe Embry has the experience; he's the assistant head coach. I would go with Joe Embry. Let him be. Of course, we will get an interview to be the head coach of the Dolphins, but I would not. If Mike McDaniel is fired, that season went to hell, went to crap. I would not put it will not be fair for Anthony Weaver if the Dolphins are not 100% committed to making the head coach. So I will go with John Embry. I will let him. If Anthony Weaver leaves, the Dolphins get 2 third-round picks. That's kind of good for me. So uh, I think Anthony Weaver is great. I think he should have been a head coach in this coaching cycle, hiring cycle. He wasn't. There's no guarantee he's going to be in the next one because that's the way the NFL works. Somebody's hot this year, and the next year somebody's hotter, and you just have to wait and see how many openings there are, pro. So John Embry will be my choice because I just would not want to do that to Anthony Weaver. If there's a vacancy in the Dolphins, I would not like to put him in this situation. So John Embry will be my choice.
So first of all, love both your answers because it's different, right? Because the obvious answer is Anthony Weaver,
Yes.
absolutely, right? And how could that play out? You bring in Anthony Weaver, you promote him to interim head coach, and then Frank Smith actually Frank Smith or Darrell Bevel get play calling duties, right? You let them call plays, and hey, wait a second, maybe we have some success all of a sudden. Maybe the Dolphins find some fire, and then now we're good, right? That would be the most likely scenario and would work. Why, Frank Smith, obviously his relationship already with the Dolphins offense. That's Miami's forte right now. Getting a chance to call plays, but also be the head coach, and you let Weaver focus on defense. And I could see that coming into play. Embry it was a surprising answer, but that is really cool, and I think makes a lot of sense. And I understand the idea of like, hey, let's not do that to Weaver because what's the point, right?
Yeah.
But I will say the one, I was going the opposite of that because obviously Weaver as the head coach and Frank Smith or Bevel as the OC, I think probably would be the likely scenario. But I was going to go with Darrell Bevel. I would like to see Darrell Bevel be the interim coach job, push him up, give him an opportunity. He has lots of experience with the Seahawks, experience with Tua, good relationship with Tua. I would go ahead and that would be my answer. So it's funny that even though obviously I think we wouldn't mind seeing Weaver get that job and seeing what we have in him. I think I love that all three of us had different answers. So really, really cool.
Bobby,
Yeah.
um, you know, I just want to add in there also that's my point with Frank Smith. If he can't take over the offense while McDaniel's, absent and all that, you're going to take Bevel. What's Bevel? A quarterback coach? I just don't think he has enough as Weaver does, is what I'm saying. And if it was me, like I said, I would put Frank Smith as high as he can go and keep him there, like interim head coach. And that would also I would pull Anthony Weaver aside and say, look, Anthony, we want to give you the head coaching job at the end of the year. And what we want you to do is watch carefully on how the offense is ran, become a part of that, go to meetings sometimes, things of that nature. Get yourself ready to be our next head coach. And, that's what I would do for him. That way, he's not another person coming in only knowing one side. That would give him the opportunity to bounce it back and forth with Frank Smith also about the offense, how it's ran. That would give Bevel boost up already, put him right into the offensive coordinator or whatever you want to do. Everybody would get a boost up somehow, you know. Now, do you think Frank Smith is going to come and save the day? No, probably not. But at least then you'll have the opportunity to weigh out Anthony Weaver, which I think should be our next head coach one way or another. But like I said, you'll give him an opportunity to get his feet wet in parts of the offense and get him ready to take over as the head coach rather than just fuel to the fire.
Sammy?
For the record, I love Anthony Weaver. I think he has he has that id that you can see he's gonna be a good head coach. But I don't want another rookie head coach to see if he can get a coaching staff, an offensive staff, to get the experience to go to the hard times. I'd rather not keep trying
I
and trying and trying.
I
That's
am
why I
with
want my
you.
thumb in and run with it because of course. if we talk so much about the culture, you get Mike Tomlin to the Dolphins, and you get a culture changer for sure. And we right around that we should have got Mike Tomlin a
A long
lot of
time
years
ago.
ago,
Yep.
and the rumors or stories that those supposedly passed on him. It is what it is. He never said that. He never confirmed that. So for my take, it's still a rumor. But I want a culture change from day one. So that's why I want my Tony. Not a bash on Anthony Weaver. I think Anthony Weaver is
No,
great.
no,
I
no.
like the guy. The guy has an all in him that he's gonna be a good head coach, but it's gonna take him a couple of years to do that. So I don't want to try again to see what happens.
Yeah, and that's why like I kept that interim head coach because if it's a head coach,
Yes, that's the
and I
whole
know
the story.
Evan was talking about. He asked me what did he say. He when we hired Weaver as DC, he was like, we just hired our next head coach. But I know Evan was on the same as I when during before the season or before we hired McDaniel. I was all about veteran head coach. I don't care if he's but he got what do you see if he's fired for a reason. That guy got fired. Well, there's a reason why he's a vet. He's available. He got fired. I mean, it's the same thing. If Mike Tomlin is no longer the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, that means he got fired. He left. But are you not going to get Mike Tomlin if he's available or not be entertained by that? Hell yeah, I would. Look what Andy Reid did for Kansas City after he left Philadelphia. Give me Tomlin any day of the week. But I'm if the worst of the worst and McDaniel gets fired, I would not be interested at all unless somehow, some way, Anthony Weaver, if he's the interim head coach, the Dolphins make a big turn and it looks exciting and whatever. But I'm with you. I don't want to see he's trying to put an offensive staff together, and then we're going with the same thing 3-4 head coaches in a row now. No, go get a veteran head coach. A guy who already has guys in place. As soon as he hires him, let him get his own GM, let him get his own staff together. He'll know a lot of guys. Bring him in, and we're good to go. I think most everybody, would probably take Tomlin in a heartbeat. So if that is the case, if that happens, we'll get and Tomlin gets fired. We know Finn's TV is going to be leading that charge. Sammy and Finn's TV.
You know me. I'm the regular one that wants the first one. What am I telling? So I'm gonna burn with that with that bridge. So it is what it is. But
Hank, let's see that hat, my man. Fitzstanza wants to see your hat. Nice and
oh,
clean. Yeah, there you go. Nice and clean. I have 2 FTSN hats that were made in Miami. Of course, I'm in Tennessee. My mom made them, and they're really nice. I've seen pictures, but my brother stole one, and my grandfather took the other. So, I'm like,
it's a myth. I know it's a myth.
it's like whatever, dude. I got the new logo and everything. My mother showed me. I'm like, oh, I can't wait. When I go down there, I'm like, where are they? Oh, your brother went on the cruise ship with one, and your grandfather has it at his house. I was like, oh, yeah, but one of the original ones we made. I know one of the original ones, Fitzstance. I'm talking about the new one with the new logo. Come on now. My gosh.
Finstanza. Yeah, when you come in August, hit me up because I'm over in Plantation. So you're only about 20 minutes or so away.
Yeah, that's right. And he's going to go to San Juan and visit with Sammy.
Yep.
Yeah, I know too. When the family goes to Puerto Rico, and when before we fly out, we'll have to meet up with Sammy there.
Absolutely.
Later on, Scotty.
But man, this was a fun show. I'm very excited for the upcoming season. Hank and I, of course, will be back next Saturday with another fun episode. I got to put it together. I got to build it up I have a great idea for the show, and I'll share with Hank in the week what that is. But I have a fun idea, but I'm going to make sure I could put it all together first, and then I'll run with it. But so keep your eye on that. If you're new to the channel, we appreciate you coming on and joining us today. If you're anywhere other than YouTube, hop on over to YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button to Finn's Talk.
Don't do it, Bobby.
Sports Network, FTSN. And then you go over to Finn's TV. Make sure you subscribe to that. They got great stuff coming this year.
Tuesday at 8.
Tuesday at 8. Yeah, that's right.
We're back this Tuesday at 8.
They're back. And of course, our friends at the Finn's Faithful podcast with George and Jason Sarney. Make sure you're going over there and subscribing. Who else? We got the Dive Bar Pod, Miss Finn's, 305 Sports Now, Adrian of the Rainy Day Pod. I just give a shout out to everyone. Forgive me if I missed out on you guys, but we all support each other. And guys, you guys got to go subscribe to those channels. They do great stuff there. Sammy, any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
Oh, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. I love the way Hank, brings every single Saturday, and but we appreciate your friendship. We're going to be working during the season with Fins TV Plus, and of course, Fins TV is back on Tuesday at 8 p.m. We're going to talk. I saw Steve Bologna in the chat over there saying that talking. He made some great points this past Tuesday on Tua, and I guess he's kind of right on a lot of things, but I still believe in Tua. I still believe in giving him one more chance. So you have to watch Fizz TV 50 this Fire Burns Tuesday at 8 on Fizz TV.
There you go. Fish Tank, final thoughts, sir?
Yo, I'm ready for a little bit of fun. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
That goes to Capella.
Hey, you know, this is my fun. This is my happiness, and you can hear got a little Bob Marley action in the background. I feel like I'm back in the 80s, walking on the beach in Jamaica.
There you
Man,
go.
and back then we had those Walkmans with the tape. You know,
Yes.
you'd use the pencil or whatever to wind it or something.
I'm enjoying
So,
myself.
hey, but I just want to say thank you to everybody out there. I hope you folks had a good time with us today. And I love being here. And thank you, Sammy. I really appreciate you coming out and helping us get this done.
There you go. There you go. Well, guys, we appreciate you all watching. Again, I will be on later on this afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on No Holds Barred Wrestling. We'll talk about how an all-woman brand could look in WWE and could it be successful. So join us for that. We'll have a lot of fun. That's Finn Sammy of Finn's TV. That's Fish Tank Hank of Finn's Talk today. I'm Bobby Finn's Talk. Like, subscribe, and most importantly, Miami Dolphin fans, Fins up.
Peace up.